Hello and welcome to an MRMC tutorial. My name is Malcolm. I'm one of the senior broadcast engineers here at Mark Roberts Motion Control. Today I'm going to show you how to attach different cameras to an AFC-100 head. In this demonstration, as well as the AFC, its power supply and camera screws, we'll also have some optional cables and accessories. There are many options with the AFC and today we'll run through a couple of them. On a side note, if you are connecting multiple heads, you will need an Ethernet hub to connect them all together. The head comes assembled, but you will need some tools to attach the accessories and the camera, such as a flathead screwdriver and some Allen keys. Throughout the demonstration, we'll be using the MRMC software to control the head and camera. But for right now, let's get on with attaching the head. First step is to pick up the AFC-100 head and screw it onto your tripod. The head requires a standard 3/8 screw, but if your tripod has a different mount, we can supply an adapter on request. As a note, it's important to make sure that the head's screwed on tightly so that it doesn't come loose as the unit pans. So as you can see, with the head powered off, the motors will run freely. There is a little resistance, but you can move them. Next, we plug the power supply in. It comes with a standard power supply with the ability to change the power cable to a different lead depending on the country you're in. This specific model is the AFC-100S. This means it has the slip ring section. So we plug the cables in here in this section rather than in the head, which will be moving when panning. This stops the potential of tangling cables. So we plug in here. As soon as you've plugged in the head, the power will be on. There's no on and off switch. There is a blue indicator light to tell you that there is power. Just a note, when the head is powered, you'll notice that it no longer moves. When the power is engaged, it locks the motors. Next, you'll need the Ethernet cable. This also plugs into the stationary section. Then you plug the other end into the PC. When it is connected, the firmware starts to run automatically. You'll see this on the PC display as the light goes green. When it's not connected, it will be red. And when it is, it's green, and it's ready to use. As you can see, the pan and tilt are then connected correctly. If you order a hardware panel, it will need to be connected and powered like this. First off with a power supply. Again, another standard Mark Roberts power supply. There. Okay. And a USB cable connected to the PC. Some of these panels don't need to be powered, but some do, depending on if it's a larger or smaller panel. The advantage of the hardware panel is that it gives you easier control of the head as opposed to using the soft panel on the touchscreen. In this next section, I'll be showing you how to connect a broadcast camera to the arm. We do also include a section on connecting a DSLR camera. That's in Chapter 4. First of all, we're going to use the standard screws that we supply. Obviously, depending on the camera, depends on which hole you connect it in. It depends. So now I'm going to connect it in. Do make sure you use both screws. Okay. It should fit most cameras. It's a fairly standard plate, but we do supply a bigger or wider plate if you need it. So first off, I'm just going to put it on loosely so that I can make adjustments to make sure that the camera's balanced correctly. Just in loosely. Okay. So a good tip is to take the power out. This then gives you the option to check the balance on the arm. As you can see there, it's front heavy, so the camera's going to tip down. So then I can slide the camera back, get it into a better position. There we go. That's it. Put the power back in. and tighten the screws. The maximum payload for this arm is 14 kilos, but we do also supply and make an offset arm as well if you have a longer camera or a longer lens that you need to balance better. I'm now going to connect the power from the head to the camera. This head has two 12-volt outputs. As you can see, we have a standard one and a resettable one. This means that if the camera is in a remote location and you need to power cycle it, turn it off and on for some reason, you can use the MRMC software to do that. So I'm going to plug this one in here, plug the other end in here. There we go. And the light's on, camera's ready. Next, we're going to connect the video. This camera has an SDI output, so we're going to use a standard SDI cable, connect it to the camera, and then onto the head. Again, keeping nice short cables on here so that the head can move freely without any cable snags. Once we've done that, I'm now going to connect a cable to the stationary section. There. And then onto our monitor. There we go. And then we can see we have video. Now, along with this, we can also stream the video onto the MRMC software so that the camera operator can see a live stream. So to do this, we need a streaming encoder connected up to our network. Video goes in. This is all configured. So I just connect up the network cable. Give it a few seconds. So if I wiggle here, we can see live video. So now we have live video in the software and in the monitor so everyone can see it. I'm now going to connect the serial cable. First off, I'm going to connect the first end at the lens port here in the head, and then into the port on the lens itself. If you let us know which lens you have, we will supply the correct cable for this. Do remember as well, once this is connected, you will lose zoom and focus controls manually. It'll only work through the software. I'm now just going to move this tripod because we are going to be moving the head and we don't want it to hit anything. Lift it up so you can still see. Cool. Now I'm going to move the head. So there we can see I'm in on the cup, nice and tight. I'm just going to focus it. There we go, pull it out. And there we go. As you can see, I have zoom and focus control. I'm now going to zero the head. You can do this at other points, but I prefer to do it now once everything's set up and ready. So if I come over to the PC, first I'm going to hit the robot tab here, and you can see at the top there's a bar with pan and tilt, and there's some numbers here showing where the head thinks it is at the moment. So if I hit the direct 0 there, that number then returns to 0. And then the same for the tilt, it's set slightly, so I'm going to hit 0 again, it goes to 0. This basically then tells the camera where its start position is, so it then knows where left, right, up and down are. With the AFC-100 and the software working together, we can store multiple shots and positions, and I'm going to show you how to do that now. So starting off, we have the cup here, so I'm going to hit this store button. You'll see 10 lights light up and go white, so if I hit P1, that then stores it as our first position. And I'm now going to move to a different position. There we go. And again, hit the store, hit P2. I'm now going to ping it back to position 1, and then move it across to the lens. I'm going to zoom right in. So not only does it store the position, but it will also store the zoom and the focusing points as well. So I'm going to hit store, position 3, So now we have 3 positions saved, 3 moves, and I can flick between the 3 of them just by hitting those buttons. And that's setting up the broadcast camera. In this next section, I'm going to show you the software and some of the settings you may typically need to change. I'm going to start with changing the soft limits. So over here, first of all, I'm going to touch the cog button. That brings up our 3 tabs. And then I'm going to go to Robot. Here you can see we've already got, comes up with the pan. So, and it's set to 144 and plus 144. So I'm going to start by changing that now to -20 and then +20. Save and apply. Then go to the tilt. Again, same thing, it's -144 and +144. So I'm going to change that as well. Save and apply. There we go. And then if I go back to the main, you can now see, although it will still pan and tilt, it will only go that 20 degrees. And that's setting the soft limits. In this next section, I'm going to show you how to enable and reset the motors. So obviously for this demonstration, I'm going to have to force the camera to trip the motor out. So I'm just going to quickly do that by disabling it there. So if there is a problem, you'll see on our camera position, this exclamation mark appears. And if I tap that now, it shows the error and this small spanner icon. So normally what I would do now is hit that spanner icon and it should clear the error. So what I'm going to do is just quickly go back into here, re-enable the motor. Come back to our main screen. So there you can see the error has been cleared, the icon's still there and the exclamation mark's still there. But if I now tap anywhere else on the screen, the exclamation mark disappears and it's good to go. And that's enabling and resetting the motors. In this section, I'm going to show you how to home the lens. This is basically the software finding out where the end stops are for the zoom and the focus. So here, again, we've got it focused in on the cup. I'm going to soft hold on this button. And you can see here at the bottom now we have home focus and home zoom. Now when I touch that home zoom, you can see that the camera's going in and out. This icon appears and spins while it's doing this. There we go, so it's gone all the way in, all the way out. And the homing icon's disappeared, so now it knows where the tightest point is and the widest point is. And again, for the focus, so if I just zoom that back in again, just so you can see it focusing. Again, I'm going to hold on there. So we did the zoom, now we're going to do the focus. I'm just going to touch that button. Again, the homing icon appears and spins, and you can see that the camera's focusing one way and the other. And that's it. And that's how to home the lens. In this section, I'm going to show you how to attach more than one head to the software. So to start, I need to log out as an operator. So I'm going to log out there. And I need to log in as an admin. So first of all, I'm going to change that to admin. Enter the password. There we go, so this brings up our network setup, and you can see there that the head's already connected. So I simply add head manually, press that button there, and you can see it brings up a red bar because there's nothing in there at the moment. I select the operator that we're going to be using. So I'm going to select the hardware, which is the AFC again, give it a name. I'll then enter the IP address, and the software will find the head automatically. In this section, I'm going to run you through the steps for attaching a DSLR to the AFC-100 head. First of all, we're going to attach the map bars. Now, of course, because the DSLR has motors to run the zoom and focus, we need to attach these first. So I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to use an Allen key. There we go. Now, there are holes on both sides of the head so that you can attach the map bars either side. It doesn't matter, but obviously, I'm going to do it on this side. Now I'm going to attach the camera. For this demonstration, we're using a Nikon D5 with a Nikon 80-400 lens. Now, because it is a smaller camera, we only need the small screw. So I'm just going to attach that now. Put this around here. And again, we want to make sure that it's fairly well balanced. First off, don't forget that the connections are on the side here, so don't have it too close to the head, otherwise you won't be able to get the cables in and out. So I'm just going to connect that up. But we need to balance it, but we also need to make sure that the gears are here in front of the mat bar so that the motors can connect. So I'm just going to disconnect the power. And again, same as the other camera, letting it run free just to try and find that nice balancing point. See there, it's still a little bit too far that way, so I'm going to slide it back. There, that's pretty good. So I'm going to put the power back in and tighten up that screw. And that's connecting the camera to the head. Now I'm going to attach the motors. As you can see on this lens, we've already put on the gear rings that Mark Robert produce. They will be supplied depending on the lens you have. I also have here a mount for the zoom, but first of all I'm going to start with a focus. So I'm going to grab my Allen key as well. This just needs to be tightened up on an Allen. So here's the motor. And again, you can put it on either side. You can also put it this way or this way, depending on kind of the size of your lens and personal preference, really. So I'm just going to slide that on. Make sure that that connects in there. And I'm going to tighten up that. Okay. So those are in. And then I'm going to connect this one. So I'm going to slide that on here. Line it up there. And again, I'm putting it on the top here just for the demonstration today. You can put it wherever you want. You could even put it on the other mat bar, but for today I'm going to do it like this. Get that line down. Take our zoom motor. Slide that one on. So get that lined up again, line those gears up. There, that's that, tighten that one up. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is move the camera around so you can see me connecting it up. So here you can see we have 3 connectors on the back, but today we're only going to use 2. So I'm going to start with the zoom, plug that into the zoom section. There we go. And then the focus, plug that in there. Now for today, for the demonstration, we're actually using an adapter to power the camera via the mains. So I'm going to plug that in on the 12-volt output there. Okay, I'm going to spin that back round. Okay, so I should now have zoom and focus. There we go, and obviously pan and tilt. Remember though that you will need to home the lens and the focus the same as we showed you before. And that's the camera all set up. Now I'm going to connect the video. Now this DSLR comes with an HDMI output, so we can, if you need, supply an HDMI to SDI converter. And I'm going to connect that up now. First off, I'm going to start with this front connection. Just pass the cable through there and spin the head round. Okay, and I'm going to connect into this side HDMI connection there. Make sure it's nicely homed. Okay, now I'm going to power up the HDMI to SDI converter. So I'm going to use our spare 12-volt output here. Plug that one in there, into the 12-volt in on the connector. Then I'm going to take our SDI cable, take the SDI out of the converter and take it into our head here. There we go. And I'm just going to trigger the live view just for the demo so that we get the pictures out already. Bring in the monitor so we can see. And spin the head round again. And then we can see the cup is on our monitor, and that's the video connected. Now for stills photography, we do supply a trigger cable that connects to the head, and I'm going to show you how to do that now. So on the front here, at the front of the camera, you can see our connection, so I'm just going to plug that in. There, make sure that's homed, good. I'm now going to spin the camera around. Again, I'm going to take that cable and plug it in to the trigger down here because it's clearly labelled down at the bottom. Slot that in there. I'm now going to point it back at our cup. Now that the cable's connected, we can remotely trigger the camera. And that concludes our DSLR setup. Thank you for watching this video tutorial. Do remember to subscribe to our channel for other video tutorials and more.